Joins us. Good morning, Ben.
How you going, John?
Oh, well, Ben, and yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks. You're saying about the South Korean exam, 90 seconds?
90 seconds for $23,000.
The $23,000, it seems a lot of money. Now, surely 90 seconds now, maybe you're correcting maybe an answer or two. Surely no money needs to exchange hands. Surely redo the exam. Maybe everybody get an extra % or two, you reckon?
Well, I would just think there's got to be a workaround, isn't it? I can't even know. How would you do the calculation on that? What's the second worth? If 90 seconds is worth $23,000.
I would say maybe like you're saying, all right, well, it's not this answer. Oh, yeah, that's right. I've got to quickly change it, so that, you got to swap the answer around. So, 1%, 2%, I don't know, depends what the exam's worth out of, Maybe it's worth out of 150, I don't know,
Well, that's probably a good way of looking at it. I guess you'd think, you could only really, in 90 seconds, you could possibly change one or maybe two questions, the answers on one or two questions. And then you'd have to think, what's the most marks that two questions are worth? So if you just said, look, we'll take two questions and give you the maximum mark on those two questions, that's the same as 23,000. That would have to be better than getting your 23,000 on 90 seconds back.
Exactly, and all that time you'd be wasting as well, redoing the exam or whatever, and restudying. Who wants to do that? I wouldn't personally. But I can imagine that happened in Australia, though.
Do you think they're having a laugh, though? Do you think they're just having a laugh?
Have to be. If it was in Australia, I think most Australians, by the time 90 seconds comes, they've finished it, and they're like, I'm done, just waiting for the time to end. South Korea is probably a bit more competitive.
I think I did my exam in sort of 10 minutes because that was all I knew. I only knew 10 minutes worth of information.
Yeah.
I spent the rest trying to look at the other people's copies, and they kept covering. I can't understand why people cover their work and exams. I don't know if you've ever done this, but why do people cover their work and exams? You think at that point it doesn't matter if people cheat. Why not let your mate have a look? I was looking to get
could you really see anyway? Maybe if it's a multiple choice, But if it's, written exam, what are they going to be able to see anyway?
That's right. It's not like they can copy things off your essay.
No, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and also you were talking about constructive criticism.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking, should all criticism be taken as constructive criticism? So if you said something almost insulting or deliberately insulting, could you take it as constructive criticism if there was some benefit to yourself in it?
Yeah, now, I don't live in Perth, so it doesn't really matter, but my mum would kill me if she knew, but there's a bit of a thing going on with my mum and my auntie, right? Just between you and me, John.
Oh, yes. All right.
And now, they haven't talked for a little while now, probably over a year or something. Maybe it was just between emails, okay?
Mm.
Now, my auntie has said, she's got some constructive criticism for my mum, right?
Mm.
Now, nobody's perfect, and maybe that some of that constructive criticism is warranted, right?
Mm.
But then my mum's like, well, if you want to start all this constructive criticism, where do I start with you? She hasn't actually said this because she's too scared.
I like that.
She has a list of things. Yeah, well, that's right. But she's like, well, if you really want to start, I've got a list long of things that, that I've thought over the years, but, I've not said anything because, I love you and,
yes,
you're my sister-in-law and everything, and they've been really, really, really close. But it's a bit like, well, what do you do there?
Well, I think you've answered your own question. You're a bit like Yoda. If you'd have just said that the other way around, it would have been perfect. If someone says, look, if they actually start off by saying, I've got some constructive criticism, you say, oh, good. When you're done, can I give you some constructive criticism, or shall we both smile and forget this ever happened? And that could be the end of it. And if they do start without the qualification of constructive criticism, could you stop them at the very beginning and say, oh, is this constructive criticism you're giving me? And then, of course, when they say yes, say, do I get to have my go at the end of this and give you some constructive criticism? Because I reckon at that point I'd hush my pretty mouth. I would just keep still. I'd think, uh-oh, I can give, but I cannot take.
That's right, exactly. Yeah.
But you're a genius. You've solved it.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a bit like, well, you know, I think sometimes you have to sort of, say what you think and have it out and sort of discuss it, don't you? Yeah, otherwise it's just, at the moment, they're not talking.
Oh, gee. You know, and it's such a pity. There's, at Christmas, I think everyone has to talk. You just got to do it. Even if you have to, you know, grit your teeth and swallow your pride. Because after all, pride brings many great people down, unfortunately. Pride's very destructive. So I think at Christmas you forget about it. Because after all, there comes a day, usually with extraordinarily terrible situation, where you need that person, or you suddenly realize how much trouble you're in and how silly the problem was that you had before, and it doesn't matter anymore. And why wait for that time to come? Why not just bring the happy conversation straight away? And once you fix that bridge and you make that connection, it's not like you have to keep ringing them up every day. You just feel so much better. And I feel solving these problems, the person who gets the most reward is the one who was suffering in the beginning anyway. You know, it's your own self is the one who gets the most reward. In fact, I've almost wondered if perhaps forgiving someone is maybe the most selfish thing you could ever do, because you are the biggest winner. When you forgive me and I forgive you, when I forgive you, I'm the biggest winner out of this. It makes me feel happier straight away. It's almost a selfish act. I get confused over my morals when I forgive people. I think, am I really doing this for them? I think I'm doing it just for me.
Yeah, you've always got an interesting point of view, John.
No, well...
They're a very philosophical way of thinking, I reckon, sometimes, yeah.
It is.
You've always got good ideas, too.
Oh, we can't talk about the barley idea anymore. I've got to... when our legal team get over that one, I'll be in trouble, so we'll forget that. We'll let that one slide.
And the cruise idea.
You heard that, did you?
Yeah, I heard that one as well.
But that's got to be a ripper, isn't it? We could do that here. You could do that any Australian town where they're homeless. You just bring in an old cruise ship, seaworthy enough to stay afloat, and who wouldn't want to spend, you know, at least the summer months on the cruise ship?
How many families do you reckon they could have on a cruise ship?
Well, I seem to recall your fairly moderately sized cruise ship could take I think they usually have around 3,000 people. I think half of that is staff. So you could probably cut back a bit on staff. You'd easily get 2,000 people and divided by 4 for your typical family.
Yeah. There you go.
And your swimming pool, your theatre.
Not bad, is it?
Hang out on the balcony. Lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not the worst thing that could happen. It's,
No. Tell you what, yeah. I could see some people be jumping at the chance, I reckon.
Well, that's right. I mean, you wouldn't give it to someone who hates ships or doesn't like small cabins. You give it to people who'd quite like the idea.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you made that ship really nice, you might be able to do a deal where people could give up their home and make that available to someone, and these other people go stay in the cruise ship. So there's that way of doing it.
I think it's worth an idea. Maybe float it at Parliament or something.
Did you say float it? I love that.
Yeah.
You're a good man. Good on you, Ben. Good to hear from you.
Cheers, John.
Ring again and have a Merry Christmas, you and your family.
You too. See you later.
Good on you. 7 minutes to 4. I think I got a compliment. I love it. With all the ideas I keep throwing out there, you're bound to get one right, aren't you? Just keep throwing them out there. News not too far